very good morning to you. My name is Howard Feldman and welcome to the Synthesis podcast. It is May the 14th, 2020. It's a glorious and cool winter's day. We are in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, and there's a lot of development going on around coping with this virus that is not only sweeping across South Africa, but of course sweeping across the world. An incredibly exciting project is one that is being managed by a company called GovChat. Joining me on the line, Eldrid Jordaan. He's the CEO and founder of GovChat. Eldrid, a very, very good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good, Howard. Thank you for having me on this show. I've heard a lot about the show. I've watched it a few times as well. And it's a huge honor to join you. Thank you.
A great pleasure. All right, so GovChat started before COVID-19. It's not about, it didn't begin with COVID-19. Give us a brief history around the company.
Okay, so GovChat was founded in 2016, doing a very specific thing which allows citizens to engage with government. We've been at it as a startup for about three and a half years. It's been an incredible journey, just kind of making sure that citizens can connect with government, and how we also try to assist government to make them not just a responsive government, but a proactive one as well. And so throughout this journey, we've obviously built an amazing platform that allows citizens to engage with probably about 10,000 public representatives. They are able to rate about 60,000 government public spaces like post offices, healthcare, clinics, hospitals, schools. And then obviously we use those insights to assist government where they can just kind of act a lot faster. There's these early warning type of platforms that we give to government as well, just to make sure that they are on it, that they don't wait until things are in the media, but that they can really just act quickly to provide a better quality service.
So I know that I've used GovChat myself, and there was a sewage problem in the street. All the neighbors were obviously getting quite worked up. They didn't know what to do, and all I did was I have the GovChat number on my phone. I messaged it. I got a reference number. Incredible, and that was really one of the initial ideas. But then COVID-19 comes along. Nobody anticipates that, obviously, including government, because it's almost impossible to have predicted the level and the speed with which this hit the country. And suddenly GovChat becomes an interesting platform.
Agreed. So obviously with the COVID-19 challenge that not just the African continent is facing, but the entire world, the lockdown rules made it very difficult for citizens to interact with one another, or for government to interact with citizens. And GovChat, being that platform that uses mobile technology, was a great tool to be able to engage with the South African public around the information around COVID-19, just understanding what's coming next, how the lockdown is really going to impact them. And so obviously there are many things that you could do with the GovChat platform, but just to be able to connect with citizens around understanding something that is very new to everyone around COVID-19, this platform obviously, plays in a very exciting space to kind of bridge that gap.
And I know that, again, I seem to be a bit of a tester for GovChat, but I needed to take my father for a COVID-19 test. And all I did was put it on go to that WhatsApp at GovChat and write the word test. And I was asked a little bit of information and then given the advice as to where the closest testing station was, testing center was for him. So again, very, very useful because we find ourselves quite panicked around certain things. We don't know what to do and we think we're very rational until we get a phone call to say, your father needs to go for a COVID-19 test. And then I certainly completely freaked out and didn't know what to do. So it's quite good to become used to using the site. But so that's what it had developed, and that's where it had all evolved. Then we get the incredible announcement, I think, from government around assisting people, the members of the community who are desperately in need of assistance during this time, given the lockdown, given the crisis that COVID has caused with regard to the economy, and government starts to looks to find ways to access the people that need these grants. Take us through this journey.
So about 2 weeks ago, the president made an announcement of a assistance package to the tune of 500 billion rand to assist citizens that are unemployed, citizens that are in need for the next 6 months. And those grants would be made available through Sassa, which is the social security agency for the South African government. Now, there are possibly about between 10 and 12 million South Africans that are eligible for that grant. This, makes that social relief grant possibly the largest program of its nature on the African continent. But what we've seen is that the South African government has requested GovChat to assist in digitizing that entire process. So if you look at how grants are currently paid, it's paid through or accessed through the post office, through retailers like ShopRite, Checkers, Pick n Pay, and through various banks as well. So what they wanted to do was, because of the lockdown and because of social distancing, it was important to try and digitize that process, that application process. So GovChat came in, then looked at the various qualifying questions. We then digitized that entire process and then used chatbot technology to try and get very basic information from citizens to find out, are you older than 18? Are you unemployed? A whole list of questions. I think that there were 10 qualifying, questions. And once they qualify with those questions, we then direct them to a secure web form portal, which allows them to, in a very safe way, capture their ID details and then address details as well. And then we directly send those details through a secured API directly to Sassa to basically take it from there. This happened, this project technology build happened over a 2-day process.
2 days?
2 days. 2 days. We were asked to come in, create a platform that would digitize the application process for between 10 and 12 million South Africans. And we were able to, with a massive team, and our technical partner, Synthesis, probably brought in about 30 engineers to try and fix this challenge. It was an amazing effort. We got it right. In fact, on Friday past, there was a leak that GovChat was going to be one of the platforms used to apply for this grant. And in the first, I think, 36 hours, we saw more than 4 million messages come through of citizens trying to understand how they can access that grant.
And of course, it wasn't ready at that stage.
Yeah, I mean, so it definitely wasn't ready. But obviously, you know, people are hungry. People need to be fed. And when they heard that the president announced the assistance program, and they heard that GovChat was the platform that will be used to apply, obviously we were getting thousands of messages each and every second. As I said, in the first 36 hours, we saw about 4 million messages come through, just inquiring about the service.
So you have an incredibly short period of time to put this together. It gets leaked somehow. Millions of users are starting to look at the site, and that must have been very, very pressuring.
Yeah, look, I think, you know, it was tough, you know, to ensure that your systems are up, ready to like handle that type of load with such short notice is really, really challenging. But I think that we were really excited to kind of see that number spike and grow as well. But I think the big challenge came, Howard, on Monday morning when the minister
take us through that. Yeah.
A live demonstration on how to use the GovChat platform on national TV. When she did that, unfortunately, our systems crashed. We could not take the load. We were seeing thousands of applications try to come through every single second. And, you know, we were trying to find out where this was coming from. Was it an issue from our data storage side? Was there an issue around our server side? Was it a WhatsApp issue? What was the issue? It took us about 24 hours to figure out exactly what that issue was. And we found out that the capacity from our data centers were definitely not enough to be able to handle that type of load. We then did an investigation and found out that no one in the world has ever needed to increase capacity at a data center. Not with those type of numbers coming in per second. We then approached our partners, AWS, and they increased the capacity. I can confirm that GovChat now is the largest user of AWS Lex in the world, based on the amount of users coming onto the platform. And just to share some numbers with you.
It makes me so proud. I mean, I'll let you share the numbers in just a moment, but to think that this little, you know, a relatively new company at the tip of Africa, in a response to COVID-19 and to assisting people who desperately need it, has become the largest AWS user in the world. Is an incredible story in of itself.
Agreed. I think it's possibly the largest social relief application run through digital technology. This has never been done yet in the world. And, you know, I had sleepless nights on Monday and Tuesday. I felt hopeless. I felt helpless. But, you know, on Tuesday night, I had some comfort because this has never been done yet. And I think, you know, if things have been done before, and then you will always ask yourself, but what are you doing wrong? You know, so some things wrong. But when it hasn't been done yet, and you are able to get it right, then you're doing something special. But
Incredible. Give me a sense of the numbers now.
yeah, so Howard, just before we started this podcast, in the last 15 minutes, there were more than 227,000 applications and messages going through the GovChat platform. In the last 24 hours, we've seen 15.6 million messages come through the platform. In the last 4 days, we've seen 29.2 million messages go through the platform. And I can confirm in the last 24 hours, we've seen 1.4 million active users on the GovChat platform. I don't think there's any platform in the world that has scaled that fast in 24 hours.
No, it's unimaginable, this.
Yeah,
It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, we've possibly just processed about just under 500,000 Sassa grant applications that we've sent through to the Sassa agency.
Right.
In 24 hours, in the first 24 hours.
500,000 is unbelievable.
It is
incredible.
I mean, these numbers are insane.
Yeah, and it's very, very hard to actually try and contextualize those numbers, because that's 500,000 people whose applications now have been processed through the system, which is phenomenal. Tell me a little bit more about Synthesis, about how their teams have been involved in the technology build around GovChat and specifically this area.
So a very specific skill is needed to build this type of technology. It's one thing to build technology that enables you to engage with groups of people through chatbots. But it's another thing to, in 2 days, to build a technology that enables citizens to give their information through a secure web form portal. That is unbelievable. You know, you are dealing with citizen data. So you want to make sure that citizens feel safe to hand over and capture their ID details and address details, and that it's going to the right place. You can only do that in a secure platform. And so Synthesis has been amazing. I think that we have the best team in the world. To be able to have done that, and again, you know, Howard, I mean, you know that I come from Mixit, right? Where we've also, you know, African pioneered technology. And I've been there for a long time, but I've never seen this type of skill. More importantly, this type of attitude towards packing on a challenge like this. The attitude of Synthesis and the developers at Synthesis is amazing. You know, my late dad always taught me that if you have the right attitude, it will open doors for you. And not once did any of the developers or the management at Synthesis come to me and say, Eldrid, you are mad to expect us to create a platform in 2 days to allow 15 million people to connect on.
Incredible. I'm sure they thought it, though.
Agreed. So on behalf of GovChat and on behalf of the South African government, a huge thanks to, firstly, Synthesis. And remember, they're a young team. The average age of the Synthesis developers that worked on GovChat is 25 years old.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
And that's a special story, because it's young people that has built this. And I need to thank each and every one of them. It will take me half an hour to say everyone's name, but there are 30 of them. And I must say thank you. And then a massive thank you to AWS for making this possible. It's the first in the world. And we are proud partners of Synthesis and AWS. Thank you.
Absolutely unbelievable. Just give us a bit of a background in terms of GovChat and your investors. Who's behind it? Who's involved in GovChat?
Yeah. So GovChat has various partners, but from a shareholding point of view, Capital Appreciation has a 35% stake within GovChat. And we currently receive funds through their Enterprise Development Fund, which allows us to fund the various projects, which is what we are currently doing. And they've just been amazing as well. They've brought on Synthesis, they've brought on so many other projects. This amazing space that you see me in.
Awesome. So cool.
A lot of it, yeah, I mean, you know, we had Facebook Africa in here about a month ago. They came and they said not even their offices are as cool as these offices. You know, it's just a space to just to think and deliver, you know, various projects. So Capital Appreciation has been awesome.
Absolutely amazing. Eldrid, you have to be inspired, exhausted, grateful, happy, emotional at this point, now that it is all starting to come together. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. Look, my dad always taught me that there's no substitute for hard work. And the hard work of these amazing teams, the success of it is through that hard work. And it's been an amazing journey. You know, we were pulling out our hairs for about 24 hours, 48 hours. But as we see those thousands of applications coming through every second, I can just say that we are humbled to serve this country. And it is our contribution as South Africans to give back and to make sure that everyone is okay through this entire period. And again, it's just a massive, massive honor to be able just to assist the South African government and its people.
Yeah, incredible to be part of that journey, to be so close to the journey, to be able to help people as you have done. Eldrid Jordaan, thank you, CEO and co-founder or founder of GovChat, joining me this morning on the Synthesis podcast. It wasn't easy to grab the time to be able to do that, but I really do appreciate it. To everybody else, thank you as always for your viewership, for the questions that you always send us, and for being part of this journey. I'm Howard Feldman for the Synthesis podcast. Good morning.